Okay, you guys, it is an absolute scorcher. It is 93 degrees and not a cloud up in that sky. Whew. But here's the before. Y'all didn't get to see this one. I started it last night and finished it this morning. Made a few squids, keychains, and that's about all I got done.
You want to do it in sections?
It's looking a little sparse.
$3 or something. No, that's what that was just for this smaller one. You're talking 3 of this packs. That'll be a lot of. Yeah, it'll be a lot of. What would you do it? So much of it. 2-3 wheelbarrows and Alden and Jack. Scotty mixed the wheelbarrows and dumped it. I'll spread it and finish it.
Okay, you guys, it is 5:27, and I just had to straighten up the tables from these two girls. One of them had to touch everything. But they talked their mom into spending some money, and the first thing to sell was the very little itty bitty scrump. That was the first to go. And then my last crab. So I don't expect to get very busy until after 7 as usual here. Entertainment starts at 6, so that's about a half hour away. And it is like scorching hot. But you'll be happy to know I brought an extra shirt with me today in case I wear my food again. I won't have to buy a t-shirt. Not to mention, there's not a t-shirt vendor here, so I would be stuck like Chuck. So, yep, we'll update you in a little bit. Okay, you guys, it is after 7 o'clock. I had to walk away from the booth to do an update because the music is so loud. So it's not super busy, but it's been steady. Lots of small items, and I sold Stitch, and now I'm out of that blue. How am I going to make another one? Do you think Mystical will work and look okay? I don't know. But the last hour is usually my busiest hour, so I got to get back over there or John will panic. And I just wanted to do a little update, but the music was just extremely loud over there. Wasn't bad music, but it was loud. So I'll check back in, hopefully, again, in a bit. Well, good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, about 11:12 in the morning, and somehow, I'm not sure how, but I got roped into another market for tonight. And last night, I sold out of my bread and butter items. No more chicks and eggs. I think I'm down to one Myrtle the Turtle. My swings got hit real hard. And a ton of keychains. So last night when we got home and I got a chance to like breathe for a minute, I made 3 chicks and eggs. This morning I have been successful in completing 5 swings, and now I'm going to start on some Myrtle the Turtles, and hopefully I can get 2 or 3 done before it's time to leave. With any luck, maybe 4 if my hands hold out. That last hour at that market is just insanely busy. Up until then, you feel like this has been a pretty dead night, and then that last hour, it just like kicks into gear and you're good to go. So I'm going to get back to work, and hopefully I can get at least 3 Myrtle the Turtles. Hopefully 4, because I have like 3 hours. We'll see what happens. All right, we will check back in later. All right, you guys. We're at the market that John suckered me into. It is scorching hot on top of this black pavement. John. I just picked up 3 laying on the ground. It's pretty windy, so everything is flying. But here we are. So I was saying earlier that I had to try and make some stuff last night. So I got these 3 made. Got this turtle and this turtle done this morning. And then I did 5 swings. So 2, 3, 4, 5. I would have only had 4 left, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, I would have had 5 left. So, sorry, I don't mean to get you guys busy, but this is our setup today. Okay, so now I'm going to tell on John.
Oh, the feed.
Yes.
Battery. It's nicely charged, though.
So, at least he was thinking, and he remembered to bring the battery for the fan in the house to charge it. But he wasn't thinking so much when it was time to leave, because the battery is still at home charging.
But the Diet Coke isn't.
Yeah, the warm Diet Coke is here.
There's 2 cold ones.
I already finished off one of the waters. Somebody is partaking into some hippie lettuce out here. I can smell it. So I guess we're about 30 minutes away from when this is like officially supposed to start. This is their first time doing it at night. They normally do it in the daytime, but because of the summer hours, they switched to night. Not to mention, it's sandwiched in between 2 restaurants. Sorry about that, you guys. All my cards and everything went flying. No. Bring that over and set it on top of that. There you go.
No, never mind. Because you'll lose shade. You'll slide this and it'll hold the front down. But you don't want to cover it.
As I was saying, it's sandwiched between 2 restaurants. Bubba's 33 and is that Texas Roadhouse? Is that what that's called?
Yes.
Texas Roadhouse. So when people start heading in there for their dinners and stuff, that's when we'll start seeing the traffic, especially after they're finished eating, because I know that's what happens at the one that we did last night, because we always get busy like super busy that last hour. That makes the whole market is that last hour. So we're kind of hoping for the same thing here. But if it ends up being a bad market, it's John's fault because he pushed me into doing this. But if it's a good market, then I did a good job. And and anyway, so we'll update in a little bit. All right, little update. It's like 6:30-ish, and my phone said it was too hot and it wouldn't charge off my power pack thingy, and so we had to stick it in the cooler to cool down my phone. I don't get it, but it's hot. It is really, really hot. We've made a few sales. I mean, booth is paid for now. Hopefully something starts happening because it's pretty much a ghost town, but we'll see. We will check back in. So at this point, it is still a ghost town. It's all John's fault that I'm here. I could be at home soaking up the air condition. Even this direction. It's so hot and the sun is so bright, we're sitting behind on the outside of the booth so that we have some shade. But yeah, this isn't looking too promising. Look at them clouds over there. Maybe it'll cool it off some. But that's kind of pretty far off in the distance. So it's definitely moving this direction. Doesn't look like it's raining anywhere yet. Let's hope it stays that way. I have not experienced my first rain event yet, and I don't want today to be the day.
This feels good.
You guys, look at this. This big gust of wind came through when there was about 6 or 7 people standing in the booth, and everything went flying off. Just this side, the racks and everything were falling over. It's like really crazy. You know, a lot of the vendors are packing up because of the wind. I think they're afraid it's going to rain, but I think that's going to blow over. But yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, you guys, you know how this goes. Just when it's getting busy, that's when all heck breaks loose. Everything flies. And we had to do a little bit of rearranging. So I'll flip the camera around and show you. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to stay. Most of the vendors are packing up. It might be pointless to be like the only one here, but let me flip the camera around and show you. So we had to take the top one off and we put it over here. These are the most likely culprits to go flying. This shelf tipped. Yeah, it was just like out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. I mean, there's been a breeze all day long, but out of nowhere. All my stuff is a disastrous mess right now. All these ducks are supposed to be pulled forward.
Really? Okay.
Everything's a mess. All my little guys.
Nothing can get in it and nothing can grow on it. Yet it'll pull in 100%.
Just everything's toppled. Look at my mini birds all toppled over.
Big problems you have is stuff will pile up on them. You still got to clean them. This one it won't do with the rain. When you wash it all off. The holes are so small that even red blood cells can't get through.
I got my car swings and stuff back there, and then try to put some stuff here. But yeah, what a mess. What a mess.
I did an event right after the hurricane.
Everything is a mess. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. As you could see from the previous clips, I had quite the weekend. Don't mind the mess behind me. It's a work in progress. I'm trying to condense all my button making stuff over to one side so that I can utilize the shelves behind me and get my mess cleaned up. It is definitely a work in progress. So, no judgment. No judgment. Oh my gosh. Where do we even start? So, we'll just start from the beginning. Friday, we went back to the place that I want to make my regular market that, twice a month go to and hold my spot for season. Because this time of year in Florida, it is really freaking hot. Friday, we get to the location. I'm expecting there to be another crochet vendor there from the list that I was emailed. And then as I'm seeing people set up, there was another person that was going to be there that I recognized from a couple of other markets. Chris's caricatures. And at the Puerto Rican festival, he was right next to me, which was really good for us because once he gets his first customer, it's nonstop for him. People start standing and watching him draw the cartoon images. And while people are standing there watching, they come into my booth and they shop, while they're waiting their turn. Well, he was supposed to be, according to my map, like 3 booths down on the same side of the place as me. And he wasn't. He was over where the other crochet person was supposed to be according to the map. So I'm like scanning the area and they're not. I'm the only crochet vendor there again, which was great for me. It really was. So this time, the kids were very active. Not quite as active as they were the very first time I was there, but they were very active. There were a couple that came in and just like had to touch everything. Just knock it over, and I'm just like, ah! So when they finally moved along, made their purchase and moved along, I was able to go out and straighten it out. And there was a couple of other girls that came over and they looked at absolutely everything. And they took their time and they would leave and then they would come back. And I think they're over talking to the parents and they're looking again and looking again. Well, they ended up buying 2 loveys, Della the Duck and Avery Crafts a Lot's little pony lovey. I mean, they talked amongst themselves. They were considering what they were buying. They were making sure it was what they really wanted. And it kind of surprised me that they went with loveys, but that was cool. So that market, it doesn't really start to get busy till about 7 o'clock. The last 2 hours are the best 2 hours. The first 2 hours, you're sitting there going, oh no, this is going to be a bust. And then especially the last hour, that's like the biggest sales hour. Now, I heard through the grapevine, I don't know if it's true or not, that the coordinator is considering switching from 5 to 9 to 6 to 10, which I would love, which means the idle time won't be so much in the beginning, but it also means it's going to be even that much cooler. And I would be fine with that. It'd be kind of stink not to get home till about midnight, but I think it would work out better in the end if they do that. So we get set up, and before it starts to get busy, I'm going to go make a potty run. Well, while I was gone, this lady came over and was talking to John, and she does a market herself, and her crochet vendor is, done for the summer. And technically, I should be too, so I can rebuild my inventory. But I am desperately wanting to hold my spot at this location. I think in season this place is going to hop. So he kind of tells her, yeah, we'll do it. I tried to come up with every excuse in the book why we shouldn't do it. The whole time we were sitting there at the market, the whole ride home, the whole next morning. Any reason in the world not to go and be in this heat 2 days in a row. But that didn't work. He's like, oh no, we should do it. I told her that you would want to do it. We should do it. Oh my gosh. So we did it. But that part will come later. So I had made the orca, that style orca, for a particular little girl. Unfortunately, they didn't come back, but I think it's because when they asked about the orca, I showed them, all from Jade's Whale and said I could do an orca in that pattern, and I forgot that I had the Teresa's Crochet Shop pattern. And then after I started thinking about it, and I'm like, this is what she really wants. So I did it from Teresa's Crochet Shop pattern. And it turned out really good. And it was a nice size using the brights, but they didn't come back. But I wasn't worried about it because I'm like, it's going to sell. It's a nice looking whale. So, did anything else interesting happen that night? I didn't wear my food. I brought an extra shirt with me and didn't need it. Yeah, really nothing outstanding happened. I sold out of a few items, which really made me nervous about doing a market the next day because they're what I would consider my bread and butter items. So, well, let's just go over what I sold. And, well, let me figure which ones were my best sellers first, and then we'll go over what I sold. Okay, I got that all figured out now. Get my paper straightened out. All right, so we sold 2 of the rubber ducks that I'm calling dashboard ducks. The hot pink one and the mint green. And if I have pictures, I'll put them in. If I don't, you guys know what they are. We're all making the same patterns for the most part. Finally, I mean, I made these so long ago, probably before Christmas. Della the Duck sold. And that went to one of the 2 little girls that were like discussing and examining every item to figure out what they really, really wanted. We sold one of the 2 lobsters, and it was the deeper red, the Bernat baby one. And that was the one that I liked better because the poppy in the brights just didn't look right to me. So, but we did sell a lobster on its debut. We sold 1 mini platypus that is Avery Crafts-A-Lot's pattern, and it was in the Perry the Platypus colors. And the guy said it was the best purchase he had made all day. Might have been the only purchase he made all day, but it was the best only purchase that he made all day. My very last sale of the night, and mind you, usually what happens when we go to pack up at this market, we get a rush of people. So I told John, let's wait about 15 minutes instead of packing up right at 9 o'clock, just in case we get that same thing. So we did, we waited, and 9:15 we started to pack it up and had all the stuff in the bags, and these 2 girls came rushing back. And they had been in earlier, and they asked how long we were there till, and they tried to make it by 9 o'clock, but they didn't quite make it. And they were looking for a, bigger type item. So I put the 3 bags up on the table, and I'm like, these are the 3 bags that we have that has the bigger items in it. And they were looking for something that would cheer a particular person up that was super depressed and really struggling. So they're looking through the bags, and they found Puss in Boots, and they were like, this is it. This is the one. So we sold Puss in Boots on his first night out. And I had just finished that up Friday morning. I started it Thursday night, and then I got tired. All I had left was like make the hat and sew the few pieces on that needed to be sewed on, and it was finished. So I finished that up Friday morning, and he sold Friday night. We sold a scrump, the little teeny tiny scrump. So now I have to make some more of those. Now, the other 2 got lots of looks, but that little teeny one, and it sold early, like early in the day. Gone. We sold one of the stingrays that is the free pattern off of Instagram that Heather likes to make, Stacy likes to make it, Mary likes to make it. It's a lot easier to do than Teresa's Crochet Shop stingray. It comes out smaller, but it's a lot easier and a lot faster, a lot more market friendly. Now, like, Teresa's Crochet Shop is cooler looking in my opinion, but to have a cheap item available, I went with those stingrays. And then, surprise, surprise, my one and only stitch sold early in the day. And I have no more blue yarn. That color blue, the denim blue in the brights. But I was looking at my other stock. I have some Bernat, but it feels like it might be the older Bernat. So I'm not so sure my hands could handle it. I'm going to try it. But if I feel it's starting to like stress my hands, I'll stop and I won't carry on. And I'll just have to wait for an order to come in from Premier. But to get size, I need to use one of the blanket yarns. The Parfait Chunky has some great blue colors, but it would be so much smaller. And for the work, I'd like to have it a little bit bigger. So stitch went real early. Next, we sold, well, wasn't the next item in order, but in order of the list that Square gives me. We sold a swing, the chick in the nest swing. We sold the squirrel on a swing, and that was Avery Crafts a Lot squirrel that I just did in Parfait Chunky with a 4.5 millimeter hook to get it small enough and threw it on a swing. So it sold. We sold a yellow chick on a swing. Those always do well. We sold the tall Perry the Platypus, the one that I followed the pattern, but I modified the pattern and then added a hat from a different pattern and like the tail from a different pattern. Like it's a total Franken Perry the Platypus. One of those sold. We sold 3 chicks and eggs, which sold me out. I didn't realize that I was as low as I was. And I didn't worry about making any because I thought I had more. But now I know. Now I know. I sold my last crab, which was also a free pattern off of Instagram. And it's one that one of the rounds is messed up and you really have to think about what you're doing and continue on with the same pattern till you complete the round. But we sold that. I sold my last, thank you, my last dragon that was the Crochet by Jenna pattern. It was one of the ones in that group when I was trying to figure out how to line up the bobbles and had discovered it was because the way she does her decreases is totally different from the way I learned to do invisible decrease. But that was the big culprit. I mean, all bobbles, almost almost all baubles have to be adjusted. But that one was like a major struggle for me. And it took me about 5, if I remember right, 5 or 6 to figure out how to get them to line up. But I finally sold the last one. We sold one gecko, and that is a free pattern off of Instagram. 3 of the itty bitty snakes. That is Saucy Puffin Crafts itty bitty snake pattern, but I went and made a whole batch of them out of all the different shades of mystical yarn that I have. And between the last few markets, I have to make some more. 2 chicken keychains. And that's just using the chicken from the chicken egg pattern and using Parfait Chunky with it to get it, you know, small enough. What I consider small enough for a keychain. Now, I could do it in Bernat, and it could be like a backpack charm, maybe. You know, people like big things. People like small things. I'm like going by my preference when I do that. 3 gummy bear keychains, and those have been around forever. And I believe, if I remember right, that sold me out of those. 1 heart-shaped keychain, 1 ice cream cone keychain, 1 mini bird keychain, 2 miscellaneous keychains. And if I put them in the miscellaneous category, it's because they've been around for 2 years, they weren't selling, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't remake them. We sold 2 loaf cats. All of a sudden, I'm selling loaf cats. Now, I'm not selling loaf cats the way other people say they sell, 10 and 15 and 20 in a market. But if I'm doing 2 and 2, I'm like, I'm selling loaf cats. I feel like I'm like really doing something there. Eons ago, it feels like, I made a loaf fox, and it's been around for a while, and it's been at almost every market. Well, maybe not, because I thought something about it I thought looked odd. But the loaf fox sold, so I was happy to see that happen. I sold 1 of the smaller manatees, not the Marley the manatee pattern, it's the other pattern that I have, and it is a smaller version. I sold 2 of the mini mermaids, which officially makes me sold out of the ones that I made. Sold 1 early on, and then later on this lady comes back. I saw the mermaid, I have to get one, and it was my last one. So I'm debating, do I want to make some more? I don't know, maybe. We sold 1 mini pup, which is a free pattern off of Instagram. That fox, I think, was a free pattern off of Instagram too. So I'm down to 1 mini pup. Do I want to make more? I mean, they're kind of a slow mover, but when you have as big of a variety as I have, is it really a slow mover? I don't know. So we sold the mini pup. And then the pony Lovey, which went to the other of the 2 little girls that were examining and discussing every single plushie. And Lovey, obviously. 4 Myrtle the Turtles, which pretty much sold me out. I think I had 1 left, if I remember correctly. I think I had 1. We sold a flamingo on a swing, which that one has been around for a while. That was kind of odd looking. We sold a mallard on a swing, and we sold a penguin on a swing. They pretty much wiped me out on swings. I had 5 left. And here's John's got me going to this other market on Saturday. And I'm like, I am out of my bread and butter items. I'm out of chicks and eggs. I might as well be out of Myrtle the turtle. Might as well be out of, what do you call it? Car swings. And I was like, I can't. If I don't have the bread and butter items, how am I going to do another market? And we talked about it the whole way home, and he's like, oh, I think you should do it. I think you should do it. Don't pass up on the opportunity to make some money, blah, 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 blah. And then I had someone else in my ear telling me, do it, just do it. So I'm like, all right, I caved. I went against my better judgment, and I caved. And I sent the lady a text and told her we would do it. So we did. But that night, Friday night, I stayed up and I made 3 chicks and an egg. And then, well, we stopped at Walmart on the way home. I had 15 minutes before it was going to close. And I ran in to see if they had any Bernat baby white. And they did not. They had almond, but they did not have white. This is going to be tough to get a hold of things nowadays. So, but I made the 3 chicks and the eggs. And then in the last live, I sat there and I was making the swing part of the car swings. So I had some of those already made, which when I'm not on a live and I'm just making those, they take me about 3 minutes to make the swing part. You know, that's the 4 short rows and chaining the 60, and then it's done. So that's about 3 minutes. And then depending on which little critter you make, that's pretty quick too. So I made 5 of those Saturday morning. I did 2 mallards, 2 yellow chicks, and 1 penguin. And then I switched to Myrtle the turtle. I wanted to get 3 or 4 done, but it didn't happen. I'm not as fast as I think I am. So I had finished 2, but then I still had to put everything into inventory and get the price tags and everything on it. So, rush. So we get all that done. We leave to go to the market. We get there. It is in the parking lot of Bubba's 33. And right next door to Texas Roadhouse, I think it's called. So 2 pretty popular restaurants that were in the area. But it is on the pavement, the blacktop pavement, and you could just feel the heat coming up. No shade trees, no buildings to block the sun, nothing. So we go over, we check in. I pay her the $40. We set up. Then John goes and moves the car. And then, like, right behind us was a little curb island type median, whatever it's called. The parking spot that was behind that, which was right behind us, nobody parked in that spot all night long. So eventually John went over and got the car and pulled it over there so that when it came time to break down, it's already there for us. So we're sitting there, and then John's like, did you get the fan battery off the charger? And I'm like, no, you told me you did that. So we have a fan that has no battery. But I'm here to tell you, the fan would have done nothing because it was so breezy. At first, it was okay. I showed you that clip of the sky. Well, after that moved through, came the winds. Oh my gosh. When that market finally started to get busy, and nothing like the Friday night market, but when people were actually starting to come over and look through, I had like 6 people in my booth, and this big gust of wind came in, and everything went flying. The racks were starting to fall over. I'm trying to hold them up. And then they all started to help me. Like, picking up all the plushies off the ground and holding the racks up as this wind is doing its thing before it finally decides to settle down. Well, after that happened, then everybody is packing up. They're all leaving. And I'm like, but it's just starting to get busy. We're finally going to start to make some sales. And then I just told John, I'm like, we might as well. No one's going to come over with just one tent set up. And then the coordinator, she can't leave until everybody leaves. So we packed it in. It was just a little bit after 8 o'clock. It was supposed to go till 9. We were finished packing up. And we were home pretty early. So I was kind of bummed about that. So we did. Oh, I forgot to say. The Friday market, we sold 48 items. And we did $504 in sales. 430 of that was on card. 73 was in cash. My square fees were $14.79. And my booth fee is $58. So we were left with $430.46 once all that was taken care of. So now, of course, that's not all profit because there's materials still in there. So Saturday's sales, it started off very slow, not unlike the Friday market. But at the Friday market, I have buildings that are blocking me from the sun very quickly. And, I have automatic built-in shade, which I love. It's kind of breezy, like a wind tunnel. But because of the way my tent is set up, my stuff isn't flying. So we get everything, the tent out, we put the weights on, and it was breezy. And at that point, John was like, I'm glad we have all these extra weights. We did watch this like sourdough bakery person across from us. They had made their own weights, and they took 4-inch PVC pipe and they filled them with concrete. And they had a big eye bolt, I think it's called, in the top where they hook it to the canopy. And they had handles that they attached to the side. I mean, it was very clever to carry it, which balanced the weight so it doesn't seem as heavy. But each of those they did where they would come out to weighing about 25 pounds each. And they had 2 on each leg. So they had 50 pounds of weight on each leg. Their tent hardly wiggled. So I insisted that John talk to the guy about them and check them out and see how they're made, because I think I would feel more comfortable on windy days like yesterday if I had something that seemed a little more stable. Anyways, we get set up and we wait, and it's hot, and we're like, the sun's coming through. So I'm scooting over, and then I'm scooting over. And then I'm sitting on the outside of the tent on the other side behind my displays, because that's where my shade has moved to from the sun. And when people come in, I just kind of like poke my head up. We're hiding over here in the shade. If you need any help, just let me know. It was hot. Even with the breeze, it was hot. Especially with the heat coming up off that blacktop pavement. Trying to remember what my first sale was. I told Mary. I do not remember. But it was not the chicken and egg. It was not a myrtle. And it was not a car swing. Oh no, it was one of the Pokemon. That was the very first sale, was a Pokemon. But the first customers were like the wait staff from the Bubba's 33 restaurant. And then it was like nothing. Then you'd get some people trickling through. And I was supposed to be passing out raffle tickets, and I forgot all about them. The lady comes over to collect the tickets, and I didn't have any. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about it. So then after that, I started, I was able to give out 10. She gave me 20, and I still wouldn't have, if I had remembered, I wouldn't have been able to give them all out, but I was able to give out 10 of them. Okay, so what did we sell at this very, very breezy market? We sold Jack Skellington. That was his second time out. We sold a pickle keychain. And that was to a friend of a little girl that had just the night before bought a couple of things for me at the other market. So that kind of surprised me because they're like opposites ends of town to have the same people. You know, like quite a drive, I think. We sold the moose with the muffin. Sold one octopus with the embroidered eyes. And this kid, he was buying it for his mom. And he had to wait. He had to wait for them to leave the booth and come back because he didn't want her to see it. It was a surprise for him. It was very sweet. He was a nice kid. We sold the orca. Second time out. And told you, I was not worried about selling that orca at all. So I will probably make another one just in case that little girl comes back next time at the market, which I have 3 weeks because it's the second Friday of the month. I have 3 weeks. I am very thrilled to get a little break. Sold 2 pickles. I am sold out of pickles. Imagine that. We sold a mini platypus. And this time it was not the Perry colors. It was the mauve pink, the dusty mauve, I think it's called. We sold Bulbasaur, the Pokemon. And I called him the egg-looking dude the last time. But I had about 4 people tell me it is, I'm probably still going to say it wrong, Togepi? Togepi. It's Togepi. I got it. So we sold the Bulbasaur and Togepi. 1 yellow chick on a swing. 1 chicken and egg. 1 mini bird, yellow. 1 Myrtle the turtle. The octopus on a swing, and the penguin on a swing. So my only bigger ticket items were Jack, the moose, and the orca. All the rest of them were between $7 and $12. We sold 16 items. And then, of course, we had to pack it up early because did you know that plushie ducks can fly? And so can axolotls and dragons and all that good stuff. It was, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. And, of course, John had ran off to the restroom. And before he got back is when all that happened. I was very, very grateful for the help of the people that were standing in the booth when this happened. I was just like, oh my gosh. It was crazy. And so, total sales was $200. Now, it is definitely a little better and had the potential of being a lot better if everybody wouldn't have packed up and left early. And we could have stayed the full time because that was when it was starting to get busy. But it was better than the last Saturday market that I tried out. So we did $200 in sales. 165 of that was card. 35 was cash. And my fees were $5.64 on the transaction fees. My booth fee was $40. So that left me with $154.36. So we will call that market yarn money since I have to make a yarn order. And I need to finish straightening all this stuff out so that when it gets here, I have somewhere to put it. Because you know, I will order enough so that I will get free shipping. I'm not going to pay shipping. Not if I don't have to. So that was it, you guys. That was it. It was an interesting 2 days. I am totally exhausted. I have a ton of stuff to do. Finish cleaning. I have a custom order to make. One of the corn ladies that bought a dozen corn needs one more corn. She wants 2 pickle keychains and a tote bag. So I have 2 tote bags to make and the corn and the pickle keychains. So I need to get on that. That's going to be my first order of business. Doing makes are those items so that I can get them taken care of and shipped off. But other than that, I got work to do. All right, we will see you guys later.